Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome. Today's topic is Brent Lesheim, Renaissance Man, Part 2. So we have my amazing friend Brent Lesheim here. So Brent, thanks for coming. And right, so we're going to talk today about Brent's his family members. Starting with his mother's mother. So what can you tell us about your mother's mother, Brent?
Well, her maiden name was Zhenya Krievich, and it's a Latvian name. And actually, the surname Krievich means Little Russian, and because I guess we have Russian ancestors too, and I think definitely they were pretty not too in the far distant past, and so she was born in Latvia. I forget where exactly, but it was in the countryside on a farm, and so she was a farm girl, and that's she was born about I think around 1908, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Where is Latvia?
Latvia is up on the Baltic Sea. It's northeast of Germany. Germany. Here would be Germany. Here's the Baltic states are up here, and this is the Baltic Sea right here. And there's Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, and I think Poland is right here. But yeah.
So what can you tell us about her life?
Well, she had a pretty, I think, adventurous life and a hard life. Growing up as a little girl, they had to leave Latvia as refugees. They had to go by camel to leave Latvia because the Russians were coming in to conquer Latvia at the time. This was before World War I, I think, or around World War I. And they had to go to the Ukraine, somewhere in the Ukraine on the Black Sea for a while. And on that camel trip, I guess she lost all of her hair on her head from, I guess, a disease called diphtheria.
What year was she born?
I think around 1908.
Okay, and so after the Russian Revolution, the Russians came, right?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, and so then what happened?
Well, she, let's see. Well, to start off, her mother, whose name was Mina, Minnna Krievich, she was working on the farm. This was around the time of the Russo-Japanese War, and this is how she met her husband, who was a soldier in that war. And he, on the way back home, I guess he had walked home from the war, and he stopped at the farm to get a drink of water, and she gave him some water, and that's how they met. And he was like 18 years her senior, so.
So your mom's dad fought in the Russo-Japanese War.
Right, correct.
Wow.
I don't know what he did exactly, but I guess he was there.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And what was your mom's name? Her full name?
Mina, Minna.
No, your mom's mom.
Zhenya, Zenija, Rosita. Not Rosita. Rosita is her marriage name, but Krievich was the maiden name. Krievins. Krievich.
What did they call her? Jenny? Zenny?
I'm not sure. When she came to this country, everyone would call her Jenny.
Jenny.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay, what else can you tell us about her?
Well, she was a very strong woman and very opinionated, and she had a lot of heart and very emotional too. She wore emotions on her sleeve, and she was. They came to this country around 1950 after World War II, but I'll go back a little. Yeah, during the World War II, she had lost a child when they were evacuating Latvia. They were on a train, and she was breastfeeding the boy. His name was Giannis, and he would have been about several months old, and she didn't have enough milk, and the boy died in her arms on the train. And and they had to. My mom says she can just remember looking out the train window, seeing her father walking through the snow, and there was this chapel in the background, and I guess he took the corpse to the church chapel there, and just kind of left it on the doorstep, and because they didn't have time to bury it or anything, and so that's what she remembers, that image of my grandfather walking with the corpse.
And so he was hoping they would bury the child.
Yeah.
How old was that child?
Several months. I'm not
months.
sure exactly.
A girl, boy.
Boy.
What was his name?
John. It would be John. Yeah.
Okay.
Giannis.
Okay.
Yeah. So they evacuated, and but then they had to come back also because the German and Russian front, came over Latvia, but then the Germans pushed them back. So the Latvians were able to come back to their homes for a while because they thought it would be permanent. But little did they know that soon again the front would be pushed back again, which would be the final push of the Soviet army on their way to Berlin.
Second World War.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they had to bury all their precious belongings, and they were farmers. Her husband Carlos was the owner of the farm, and that's what they did. They were farmers, and he was also a college dean at the agricultural university, and I think the town was called Sigulda. But they left Latvia, and the second time when they had to leave permanently, and they settled in Germany, and they stayed in 5 or 6 different refugee camps in Germany over the course of about 5 or 6 years. They arrived there while the war was still going on. It was towards the end. But for the most of the time, it was after the war that they lived there. But my mom has memories of German soldiers fleeing the Allies. I mean, they lived in this little cottage in Bavaria. They were sponsored by this German family who were fish farmers in the town of Dinkelsbühl, Germany, and she remembers the German soldiers, several of them had to come through the house. They were retreating, and she said they looked scared and everything. And my mom and her family had to go down into the cellar, hide in the cellar while these soldiers were shooting from the house at the Americans, I think, who were coming. So, and then they just disappeared into the woods after a few minutes of fighting in the house, from the house. So, pretty intense stuff. Let's see. So then, my grandmother took care of the house and the kids. My mom's brother had a brother. His name was Mintouts, and I think he was a couple years younger, but I'm not sure. It's very, actually, when I'm talking about it, I picture the imagery of, at least I don't try to imagine. My mind automatically goes there and almost kind of visually. I don't know if the pictures I'm seeing in my mind have any accuracy or not, but I kind of get a visceral feeling when I think about it, what they must have gone through. The excitement of the situation and the fear and stuff like that, because my mom, I'm drifting away from my grandmother, but let's see. So they survived the war and they came here to America. They landed in New York. They came from Bremerhaven, Germany on a boat.
What year?
I think it was like 1950 or 51.
Okay.
50, I'd say 50.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Right now, I'm not getting these dates and everything right on because I didn't prepare enough.
Okay.
But
it's okay.
yeah. So, but we can always redo it again too,
Right.
someday, whatever. But anyway, so they came to this country and they settled in. They were sponsored by the American Lutheran Church in Lexington, Kentucky, and the church provided them with this beautiful, brand new, like bungalow home in Lexington. You know, it came with a couple bedrooms, kitchen, bathroom, living room, garage, I think. And during that time, my mom enrolled at the Lexington High School, and her father, who was he was originally a dean of the agricultural university in Latvia, he had to dig graves to support the family. At the age of 48, he started doing this, and I don't know. I think he did it for a period of, I'm not sure, a year or two, and so. And this is how he also enrolled at the University of Kentucky and got his master's degree in chemistry. And this is how he paid for his college, was through working in the cemetery as a grave digger.
Okay.
And so my mom, so then they moved up here to Cleveland area on the near west side of Cleveland, and they lived in several different homes. Right on the Cleveland Lakewood border, and eventually my grandmother and grandfather bought a house in Lakewood in a neighborhood known as Birdtown,
Right.
on Lark Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, and this was in the early to mid '50s that they bought this house, and at one time I guess it was they would make moonshine whiskey in this house,
Okay.
and so they had to really fix it up a lot. My one uncle, who was very handy, helped them, and they really made it so it was a livable and nice place to live in. But
Small house.
yeah, all very small, like a little clapboard house. Yeah,
Nice neighborhood.
yeah. It was a very safe neighbor. I thought it was safe. It was a working class neighborhood, but it was very safe. There was
A lot of small churches.
small church, a very ethnic community. Yeah.
Orthodox churches.
Right, that's right. Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Were they were Lutheran?
Yeah, right,
Okay.
right, yeah.
Okay.
They were Lutheran. Yeah.
Okay.
And so they went to the Latvian Evangelical Lutheran Church in Lakewood. They found an old church there. It used to be a Swedish church, and they bought it from the Swedes. And before that, they rented a hall for their church. It was somewhere around West 25th Street. I forget where, but that's where they first would go to church. And my mom remembers taking the bus to go there to church. And she said back then it was very safe. She didn't feel threatened about taking the bus into Cleveland or anything. It was a different time. So, yeah. So.
You're anything else about your grandmother, your mom's mom, you like to say?
Well, she was, like I said, she was almost like a character out of a Hollywood movie in certain ways. I mean, she kind of reminds me of that Mammy in Gone with the Wind in a way. Maybe not so big, but she had a presence about her.
Strong spirit.
Yeah, exactly.
Omi.
Exactly.
Omi was grandmother in Latvian. Omi.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. But when she came here, I guess in her mid 40s to 50s, she was, at least this is what I've been said in the family, that she became very, very depressed for a number of years. I don't know, must have been 10 or 15 years. And I mean, because she also lost her firstborn son, Mintauts, he passed away when he was 22, I think, and he was a promising architectural student at Case Western Reserve University. And I guess he was, I just look at pictures of him, and he just seems like a very mild, kind, well-adjusted, peaceful person. I guess he was that, but he was very artistically gifted, and he would do a lot of things artistically, like paint pictures or put together make little boxes out of things and stuff like that. So
Your mom's brother.
yeah, Mintouts.
And he died of hemophilia.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, I just see pictures of him, and I think I would have definitely have liked to have known him. Yeah.
So she was depressed in Birdtown.
Right. Right.
Okay.
And so I guess like in the early 70s, maybe right around there, she took up the practice of yoga,
Oh.
and that changed her life.
Oh, okay.
She took that. I don't know where she found that out, but she started doing that, and she did that almost. She would practice precepts from it probably till the day she died. I mean, when she couldn't physically do postures or anything, I think, the philosophy of it probably was going through her mind or
Wow.
whatnot. But so,
Okay.
and that changed her life, and she became a totally different person
Oh.
from the one where she was very depressed.
What yoga was that?
I'm not sure exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I know she had a bookshelf with all kinds of different spiritual books and history books, and I did happen one time to find autobiography of a yogi on one of
Oh.
her bookshelves. Yeah, and so she did have some contact with that, with SRF a little bit, but she knew of Paramahansa Yogananda.
So yeah, I knew Omi. It was nice. I got to call her Omi as well. Wasn't my grandmother, but that was nice to. Somehow I ended up doing that. I was encouraged to do so. And so, what else anything else about Omi, your
Well,
mom's mom?
yeah, I mean, she was an excellent cook and even a better baker. I mean, she could make these not just pastries, but torta. They had these layered European cakes where there's like 8 or 9 different layers, and it's something they used to serve on the cafes of Vienna during the Habsburg Emperor. Stuff, European torta. Those are those are favorites of Europeans, and she could do that. And she made many other things, and she worked for the Engineer Society of Cleveland, and the boss, the head man, would especially and not especially, but would come to their home directly to pick up the desserts for office parties and stuff like that. And they always almost demanded that my grandmother Jenny make these torts for their gatherings and stuff because they were so good. And, but according to her, she said she was underpaid. She probably was, but
Right.
I don't know. Being an immigrant, I don't know, but yeah. So
How about your mom's dad?
yeah, Carlos. That was his name, Carlos. He was very. I mean, when I look at pictures of him, he almost seems like a Buddhist monk in a lot of ways. He did not say much at all, at least not to us kids. He was very quiet, but he was not harsh or anything. But he was just very, very cerebral almost. And I guess he would kind of give directions to Jenny about how we kids should be raised, not rules, but just suggestions,
Right.
his opinion and stuff. But we never heard it directly from him. But he was, they both came from a different time, old world European, Latvians, and I know they worked hard all their lives. And I mean, being farmers, that's a hard existence. I mean, it's hard work and depend on the weather to make sure your crops come in and all sorts of things that cause stress.
What did they grow?
Oh, I'm not exactly sure. I think like wheat and I'm not sure what else.
He was an agricultural professor.
Yes, he was a dean at the agricultural university in Latvia. Yes, I think it was in Sigulda, the city of Sigulda.
So how old were you when he died?
I was about 23.
So did you ever be interesting? He must have known about soils and
Oh yeah, he did.
The science of farming.
Exactly.
And so he was he a chemist?
Yes, he got his master's degree in chemistry when he came here to the U.S.
And he worked as a chemist.
Yes.
Where?
For Union Carbide.
Okay. Well, so that was near their home, right?
Well, I think he had to travel to the east side of Cleveland to
okay.
get there on the rapid transit.
Not the Union Carbide plant near Birdtown.
I don't think it was that one.
Okay.
No.
So his name was Carl?
Carl or Carlos is how you say it in Latvia.
And people here called him Carl?
Yes.
And Carl and Jenny
Rudzitis.
Rudzitis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good Latvian people.
Yes.
And with some Russian background and some Swedish.
Correct.
As well, and German?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Did they tell you about old Livonia?
Well, not so much of old Livonia. I mean, I never heard them say the word Livonia, but I mean, they would talk about Latvia, about growing up in the farm, and they both came basically from peasant backgrounds. They were rich peasants, wealthy peasants. I guess what the Russians would call kulaks.
Mm-hmm.
Kulaks were wealthy Russian peasants, and
okay.
yeah, I hope I got that right. I just said, because some people might not agree with me on that point, but
so they were probably anti-communist.
oh yes, very anti-communist. Yes,
And they felt heartbroken about Latvia.
Oh yeah,
in the Soviet Union.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What would they say about that?
Oh, it was terrible. I mean, they had to leave everything. They had to leave their home, their farm, their families, their friends. Many of their friends were killed. They're sent to Siberia, to the gulags.
Oh.
And worked to death or murdered or whatever, or starved to death, rose to death in these work camps. And luckily, fortunately, my grandfather and the family were able to get out of there before they were apprehended by the Soviets, the Russians, the communists, and so the student actually notified them, gave them a signal from a church. I think it was at night or something. He lit a candle in a steeple, and that meant that they better leave because the police were coming for them. So,
oh.
Yeah.
So the Russians were already there.
Oh yeah.
And this was during the war.
Yeah.
1940. Early in the war.
Well, yeah, they had to leave twice.
Right.
So I think this was the second time.
Oh, okay, like 44 then.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, and so as time passed, were they able to keep in touch with friends and family in Latvia here?
Well, let's see. The mother, my grandfather, Carlos's mother and father went with them. Went all the way to I think it was Bremen, Germany, to the port, and then decided they didn't want to go. They wanted to go back home. So his parents said, "Well, we're going back home to Latvia. We're not leaving with you."
Okay.
And that broke my grandfather's heart.
His parents.
Yeah.
What happened to them?
I think they survived into old age living in Latvia.
In the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Could they communicate? Could your grandfather communicate with them?
No. The only communication he got was the time when his father had died, and that was like 15 years, 20 years later.
How did they find out?
A letter was sent.
So were they writing letters? Was he writing letters to them?
I'm sure he was, but I don't know if they got through or not at the time, because that was at the height of Stalin's reign, I think.
But they had news that friends and family were sent to the Gulag Archipelago?
Oh, they knew it because they never saw these people again. I mean.
But they were here.
Yeah, they were here. Yeah,
So
but even when they were there in Latvia, people were being
taken away,
rounded up. Yeah, just like the Jews in
already.
Nazi Germany. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, he saw colleagues being. I mean, they were arrested and sent away to Siberia.
Do you want to talk a little bit? We're running out of time here. You want to talk a little bit about your mother, since we've talked about her parents? We can talk more about her another time, but just to
Yeah.
You're talking about her a little bit now, since talking
Well,
about her mom and dad.
yeah. Yeah, my mom, she's a very interesting person. She's been a big influence in my life. I mean, yeah, it's like when she passes away, I'm sure I'll be hearing her voice echoing in my mind
Okay.
a lot.
Okay.
And she's a very physically attractive woman, and as a young girl, she was, I guess, yeah, beautiful young woman, and smart, and very emotional, almost to a fault of sometimes her emotionality, and but that's, I think part of that has to do with growing up in those war years and not knowing where they were going to live and stuff like that, and what would happen to them. I think they were under a lot of pressure, even though she was a little girl, and she said she just felt like everything was normal. I think that pressure was working on her parents and everything, and it had to affect her somehow, I think. And
But she was able to have her aesthetic here.
oh, exactly. She tried to rebuild it here. She was always like that. She's like, I would definitely call her an artist, even though she never practiced the discipline like painting or sculpture. But everything she does it's just with an artistic flourish, and that's how she views the world. I mean, she even says she likes beautiful things.
Right.
And so, yeah, I can definitely see she's got a artist's heart and mind too. Yeah, so very perceptive woman, and sensitive, and loving and caring for the family too. She's been a rock in our family. She held our family together.
Right.
So.
Very interested in literature.
Oh yeah,
And
literature, reading
Reading
yes.
books.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, Brent, we're out of time. We can talk more about your mother and then your father and his parents and the rest of your family. Thank you so much for coming, and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Wonderful interview. And thank you for watching, dear viewer. So God bless you, and take care, and we'll see you next time.